Chapter 4. The Necromancer's Wrath. In the heart of a desolate tower, shrouded in perpetual twilight, the necromancer Thaler Voss brooded over his scrying pool. The surface of the dark, enchanted water shimmered, revealing scenes from distant lands and hidden places. Thaler's eyes, cold and calculating, were fixed on the image of Marcus emerging from the ancient ruins, the crystalline vial clutched in his hand. Thaler Voss was a name whispered in fear across the land. Once a respected mage in the court of a powerful king, Thaler's insatiable thirst for knowledge led him down a darker path. He delved into forbidden tomes and ancient rituals, seeking power over life and death. His experiments grew increasingly grotesque, and when his necromantic practices were discovered, he was cast out, branded a heretic. Undeterred, Thaler retreated to the Forsaken Tower, where he continued his dark studies in solitude. Over the years, he amassed a legion of undead servants, bound to his will through arcane rituals. His ultimate goal was to unlock the secrets of immortality, and the vial Marcus had taken was a crucial piece of that puzzle.
How dare he?
Thaler hissed, his voice echoing through the chamber.
That vial contains the essence of life itself, a power beyond his comprehension. He will pay for his insolence.
Thaler waved his hand over the scrying pool, the image shifting to follow Marcus as he made his way back to his camp. The necromancer's mind raced with plans for retribution. He could sense the strange energy coursing through Marcus, a sign that the vial had already begun to influence him. This only fueled Thaler's anger further. With a flick of his wrist, Thaler summoned his most trusted minions. From the shadows of the chamber, four skeletal warriors emerged, their eyes glowing with an eerie blue light. Each one was armed with ancient weapons, their bones held together by dark magic.
You will find the intruder.
Thaler commanded, his voice cold and commanding.
Retrieve the vial and bring me his head.
The skeletal warriors bowed in unison, their hollow eyes fixed on their master. Without a word, they turned and marched out of the chamber, their footsteps echoing through the tower's stone corridors. Thaler returned his gaze to the scrying pool, watching as his minions set out on their grim mission. He knew that Marcus would not be an easy target. The energy from the vial had already made him stronger. But Thaler had faith in the relentless nature of his undead servants. They would not stop until their task was complete. As the image in the scrying pool shifted once more, Thaler's thoughts turned to the vial itself. It was a relic from a bygone era, created by an ancient civilization that had long since vanished. The liquid within was said to contain the essence of life, a potent elixir that could grant unimaginable power to those who knew how to harness it. Thaler had spent years searching for the vial, following cryptic clues and deciphering ancient texts. He had finally tracked it to the ruins, only to have it stolen from under his nose by an unworthy interloper. The thought of Marcus wielding such power filled him with a burning rage.
Enjoy your fleeting strength while you can.
Thaler muttered, his voice dripping with malice.
For soon, you will be nothing more than a memory, and the vial will be mine once more.
With a final glance at the scrying pool, Thaler turned away, his mind already plotting his next move. He would not rest until he had reclaimed the vial and exacted his revenge on the one who had dared to defy him. The necromancer's wrath was a force to be reckoned with, and Marcus was about to learn just how dangerous it could be. Chapter 5. The Relentless Pursuit. Marcus awoke to the unnerving sound of clanking armor and the eerie creak of bones rubbing against bones. His instincts kicked in, and he scrambled to get his leathers on and grab his weapons. The sight that met him as he emerged from his makeshift shelter made his blood run cold. A small force of skeletal warriors, their eyes glowing with an eerie blue light, advancing towards his camp. Without hesitation, Marcus drew his short sword and notched an arrow in his bow. The first skeleton lunged at him, its ancient sword swinging in a deadly arc. Marcus sidestepped, releasing the arrow, which struck the skeleton in the skull, shattering it into pieces. But as one fell, another took its place, and the relentless advance continued. He fought fiercely, managing to take down a second skeleton by cleaving its spine with his sword. But the remaining two pressed on, their attacks relentless and unyielding. Marcus realized that if he stayed and fought, he would be overwhelmed. With a final, desperate swing of his sword, he created enough space to turn and run. He sprinted through the forest, the sound of clanking armor fading behind him. The undead couldn't keep up, but Marcus was forced to leave behind his pack and all his food. He still had the vial, the coins, and his weapons, but he was without a water skin or provisions. For the next 2 days, Marcus was on the move, running, hiking, and scouting nonstop. He drank from streams when he could find them, but the lack of food and sleep began to take its toll. His muscles ached, and his mind grew foggy with exhaustion. Each step became a monumental effort, but he pressed on, driven by the knowledge that stopping meant certain death. Just when he thought he couldn't go on any longer, he spotted a small farming town in the distance. The sight of it filled him with a glimmer of hope. He could hear voices and see figures moving about, tending to their daily tasks. They appeared to be human, but Marcus knew better than to rush in without caution. He crouched in the underbrush, observing the village from a distance. The buildings were simple but sturdy, made of wood and stone. Smoke rose from chimneys, and the smell of cooking food wafted through the air, making his stomach growl painfully. Marcus watched as villagers went about their routines, tending to crops and livestock. There were children playing in the dirt, and the sound of laughter reached his ears. It seemed peaceful, but Marcus couldn't afford to let his guard down. He needed to be sure it was safe before revealing himself. As he scouted the perimeter of the village, he noticed a few guards patrolling the area. They were armed with simple weapons, but they moved with the confidence of those who had faced danger before. Marcus took note of their positions and routines, planning his approach carefully. After a few hours of observation, he decided to make his move. He waited until the guards were at the far end of their patrol route, then emerged from the forest, his hands raised in a gesture of peace.
"Hello?"
He called out, his voice hoarse from days of running.
"I mean no harm. I seek shelter and aid."
The nearest guard turned, his eyes narrowing as he assessed Marcus.
"Who are you, and what brings you to our village?"
"My name is Marcus,"
he replied, trying to keep his voice steady.
"I was attacked by undead creatures and forced to flee. I have no food or water, and I need help."
The guard exchanged a glance with his companion, then nodded.
"Come with us. We'll take you to the village elder. He'll decide what to do with you."
Marcus followed the guards into the village, his heart pounding with a mix of relief and apprehension. He had found temporary safety, but he knew that the necromancer's wrath was far from over. The vial he carried was a powerful artifact, and Thaler Voss would stop at nothing to reclaim it. As he was led through the village, Marcus couldn't help but feel a sense of hope. Perhaps here, among these simple farmers, he could find allies and a way to fight back against the dark forces that pursued him. For now, he would rest and regain his strength, but he knew that the battle was far from over.